So Eddie, obviously we're here to talk about EBI 3, but first I want to talk to you about your background. I didn't become aware of you until not too long ago. It seems like you've been competing a lot more, maybe more on the West Coast as well. When did you get your black belt? Who did you start with? Who are your main training partners, teachers?
I actually started out on Long Island in New York under a small team called Texel. My instructor was Krishna Mirja, who bounced around a bit, but he's mostly a Sarah guy. I'm still good on good terms, train with him a lot. Good guy. Small team, but a lot of really good competitors came out of there. I don't know if you're familiar with John Sateva as well from Marcellus. Mm-hmm. We came up together, same team on Long Island, and moved to the city.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, separate camps though. So.
And when did you move over to Henzo's?
I moved over to Henzo's about a year and a half, 2 years into my training or so. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And when did you get your black belt?
Mid-January, so like a few weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've been making your debut.
Yeah, pretty recently. Yeah. So nice. You're like, oh, what's different since you got your black belt? Nothing. It was like a few weeks ago.
Did you compete much in IBJJF tournaments before?
No, actually, I've never done one of the large IBJJF tournaments. I've done like a Long Island Pride, which has IBJJF rules, but it's not really an IBJJF tournament. No, I've never competed in one.
It seems like you're competing a lot more in no-gi. Is that your preference?
Yes, it is. My original team came up no-gi as well. We did mostly that just because we were sort of a school club, so you just more convenient. Random bodies come in, hard to get them gis and stuff, but you get them shorts and a t-shirt, get them rolling. So it's sort of more of an art of the people, the no-gi approach. So,
right.
Yeah.
In your match with Denny Prokopos at the Gracie Nationals, it seemed like you had a strict game plan and you stuck to it, and it was successful. Is leg locks your main focus when competing?
When competing, I look to submit my opponent. Submission grappling is what I consider myself a submission grappler. So I look to submit my opponent, and legs just happen to be available more often than not. People defend the upper body very well, they hip in, and the legs become available. So I'll take any submission I can, but legs tend to be more available, and I do consider myself a leg lock specialist. Like, I know leg locks fairly well. So yeah, it wasn't necessarily a sole focus. I'd take any submission I can get happily. But against Denny, certainly that was the approach. I knew he would try to take outside positions with his legs, trying to get me in rubber guard and high guards of variations. So I had a feeling that would be the way I was going to end the fight, and that was my intention. So.
One of your training partners, Gary Tonin, is also known for his leg locks, and some people have referred to you as Gary's leg lock coach, which seems strange to me since Gary trained with Tom DeBlas, John Danaher. Do you consider yourself Gary's leg lock coach?
Maybe in the very beginning when he first came to John, but no, we're training partners now. When he first came, he didn't have any leg locks, significant leg locks at all. He came getting ready for ADCC his first time around. So he started studying some leg locks. He learned very, very quickly though. It was much easier to deal with leg locks before he learned them. Now he's a monster. He's definitely a complete leg locker and a complete grappler, in that sense. So.
Is it just a coincidence that both of you focus on leg locks, or is that part of the culture now at Renzo Gracie's Academy?
Yeah, it certainly is part of the culture. Leg locks are not discouraged in Danaher's class at all. They're not particularly encouraged. They're just submissions at submission. Leg locks are valid submissions. Reaping's never been disallowed. Heel hooks have never been frowned upon. And I think as soon as you remove those restrictions, the school will naturally gravitate towards those. People will gravitate towards those, just because they are efficient and effective submissions. Easier to get to, legs are always available. You have to play guards differently. People don't play closed guard as often at Renzo Gracie Academy, very rarely, because of the threat of leg locks in the process of getting there. They don't play knee shield guards for the same reason. So all of a sudden there's this whole, there's a whole bunch of strategic considerations that arise as soon as you start adding these in, and they organically arise. It's not forced upon. It's not like, oh, we're teaching leg locks every day. Danaher rarely teaches leg locks no more or less than any other technique. It's just that they are an effective and efficient submission. The legs tend to be very available. So yeah, I think the culture arises from that organically.
Do you find that heel hooks are good for the average student, or are they too dangerous for the people who aren't really out there competing at these high-level events?
That's a good question. And I think a large part of the perceived danger of heel hooks comes with people's lack of ability to apply them correctly.